This is the Channel 11 News at 10 with Kaity, Tong, Jack Cafferty, Jerry Gerard, and Mr. G.
Good evening. The New York Post looks as though it's back from the brink once again. After a last-minute deal tonight, we'll have a live report in just a few moments.
But first tonight, more tales of cops running wild in the streets of New York City from today's Mullen Commission police corruption hearings. 2 former officers testified about drugs, robberies, brutal beatings, all conducted while wearing a police badge. Mary Murphy has the latest.
I'm disgraced. I've disgraced my parents, the people that I love.
If 29-year-old Kevin Hemberry shocked anyone with his claims that cops at the 73rd Precinct in Brooklyn routinely stole drugs and guns, then you could say Bernard Cawley absolutely stunned them with his tales from the Bronx. Cawley says his sergeant called him the mechanic.
Because I used to tune people up.
What do you mean by tune people up?
That's a police word for beating up people.
And if you believe Cawley, that was a daily occurrence in the late 80s and early 90s on the 4 to 12 shift at the 46th Precinct. How many joined in?
Say about 10% of the precinct, which is probably 30, 35 cops.
Bear in mind that Cawley is now doing 3 years to life in state prison on burglary and narcotics charges. But the Mullen Commission found him credible enough to put his testimony on the record. He says he beat up about 300 to 400 people in his time, sometimes people just minding their own business. Here's how Cawley described one night at a building on Davison Avenue.
We went into the building. Who was ever in the building got beat. A lady was coming down the stairs with a big radio in her hand. They smashed the radio with the nightstick. They threw her down a flight of stairs.
Cawley says another time, cops videotaped a beating.
The officer jumps off the banister and lands his elbow in the guy's back, you know, like a wrestling move.
Sometimes the cops allegedly use sap gloves with lead sand to beat their victims.
So it's almost like hitting somebody with a roll of quarters inside your hand.
One time, he said, they raided what he called a whorehouse.
After we calmed the ladies down, we had sex with them.
Cawley eventually segued from beatings to drug raids for profit, transferring to the Bronx Anti-Narcotics Division.
Right then, I started seeing dollar signs. I got greedy.
Cawley claims there were times when the cops he knew would actually try to bust criminals rather than act like criminals. But he says even then, they would tamper with the evidence. For example, in a drug bust, Cawley claims that there were times when they would add to the quantity of cocaine seized to make it look like a bigger deal.
You'd stop by the bodega on the way to the precinct. You pick up a thing of Arm & Hammer baking soda, and you just dump it in. You mix it up. So now when it goes to the police lab, it might go down there as 5 ounces instead of a ½ ounce.
When Cawley was done, Commission Chair Milton Mullen tried to put the sensational allegations in perspective, pointing out that just 5 precincts out of 75 citywide have been mentioned.
I still believe very strongly, as I've said on a couple of occasions, that the overwhelming majority of police officers are honest and are not corrupted.
But downtown at Police Plaza, a rather somber Commissioner Raymond Kelly read a statement he was sending out to all precincts.
I want you to take pride in your job and your uniform.
Kelly called this week painful and the testimony revolting, but added this.
Well, I think it's fair to say that this is a one-sided presentation, a trial, and there's no defense side. I think you have to temper what's been said here by people who are in jail, corrupt officers, and just don't accept it totally as gospel.
Earlier, a Mullen Commission lawyer had noted that Bernard Cawley identified 13 corrupt cops from the 46th Precinct for Internal Affairs.
10 of these police officers remain on the police force today.
As for Kevin Hemberry, he's trying to avoid major prison time and spoke while federal prosecutors took furious notes on his claims that 20 to 30 cops from the 73rd Precinct once joined him on drug raids. One of those prosecutors is John Gleason, the man who put mob boss John Gotti away for life last year. Now Gleason's investigating official corruption. Hemberry warned active cops against ever trying it.
I've been in prison. I've lost everything that I've owned. I almost lost a little boy that I love very much. It's been difficult. Don't do it.
I'm Mary Murphy for the Channel 11 News at 10.
And tonight, police at the 46th Precinct in the Bronx have thrown up the blue wall of silence, remaining tight-lipped about charges at today's hearings of alleged daily beatings carried out by some of the cops at that station house. Ed Miller standing by live right now at the 46th Precinct with the very latest on that part of the story. Ed?
Kaity, these charges cut right to the very heart of police work. Cops like their image of being the good guys who put the bad guys away. And like it or not, exaggerate it or not, today's Mullen Commission testimony takes some of the shine off all police badges, causing thousands of good guys to look not quite so good because of a few corrupt ones.
176 and Davidson, an intersection of the Bronx where crack is sold like fast food, and the slightest of arguments is settled with the gun. A world of violence where hardly anyone over the age of 12 goes to school. It is a far cry from the protocol of Park Avenue, for on Davidson Street and many other high-crime city streets, the difference between right and wrong is often blurred.
Davidson is one of the places where former cop Bernie Cawley claims that 46 precinct cops used to routinely beat up citizens for fun and profit. While we couldn't find any people who may have witnessed those beatings from years ago, we did find neighbors anxious to talk about police who they feel abuse their power today.
Beatings happen all the time.
Here?
Yeah, because I've seen them. I've seen it all the time. It happens all the time.
But perhaps it was provoked, no?
Not really. Not really.
Livery cab driver Wilson Romero has lived here for more than a dozen years. He claims police purposely throw their weight around here, believing everyone they see either used to be behind bars or should be behind bars.
Either you're black or Hispanic, and there's a lot of drugs around this area. And either because you're Hispanic and you are black, and they right away they think that you're a drug dealer or you're a criminal. And they feel like they have to use force right away. You know, to let you know that they are in charge.
City sanitation worker George Lucas is suing the city after he claims police beat him up in a case of mistaken identity this past July.
Told me to get on my hands and my knees, which I did. And after I did, another officer came up behind me, hit me in the back of the head with his walkie-talkie. Then once I fell on the ground, then after that, about 30, 40 officers ran up, you know what I'm saying, started beating me, holding my legs, you know, beating me with
You're
sticks.
saying dozens of police officers?
Yes, from the 46 and the 48 precinct.
Dozens of police officers did what to you?
They had me on the ground. They was holding my legs.
They held you down?
Hold me on the ground. They just beat me with sticks, flashlights, kicking me, stomping me. I have a doctor's report at Bronx, Lebanon. Right now, I have a counter-suit against the city for what they did.
Did you resist arrest? Is that what they
Nah, that's what they're saying. They're saying I resist arrest, and they chased me for several blocks, which never happened. But I have too many witnesses.
Now, this is not meant to undermine what Mr. Lucas says, but it is absolutely vital to understand that anyone can claim police brutality for any number of reasons. It is the most sensitive issue in police-community relationships. And in some neighborhoods, drug dealers know that the way to get back at a cop after he's been arrested is to accuse him of brutality. Live in the Bronx, I'm Ed Miller. Back to you, Jack.
Ed, thanks very much. Mark Twain never wrote for the New York Post, but to paraphrase his words, reports of the newspaper's demise may have been greatly exaggerated. An 11th hour agreement apparently has been reached between Rupert Murdoch and the craft unions, and it could save the newspaper. Jason Carroll standing by live at the Post with the latest for us. Jason?
Jack, I think everyone out here knew this was going to happen at some time. The Post has seemed to have died 1,000 deaths, and it's been resuscitated just about as many times. Well, tonight, Rupert Murdoch says he's reached a tentative agreement with the craft unions and says the Post will publish this Friday. Now, you'll remember on Monday, a strike by the newspaper guild shut the paper down. Craft unions honored the strike, refusing to cross guild picket lines. The guild could not reach an agreement with Murdoch, who in turn washed his hands of the situation, saying he had had just about enough. But an 11th hour agreement reached tonight by Murdoch and the craft unions paved the way to reopen the paper. Apparently, Murdoch decided to go back to the negotiating table after Governor Cuomo, Cardinal O'Connor, and Mayor Dinkins agreed to tell him to give it another try. Now, all of the unions except the newspaper guild were in on those last-minute negotiations. Some of the guild members are out here tonight still striking, and joining me right now is Harry Likas. He is the unit chairman of the newspaper guild. Those are honks in support, by the way, of the strike. Harry, let's get off the first question. I just want to find out, are the guild members going to, in fact, go back to work tomorrow?
No. We have an outstanding labor dispute, and we intend to resolve it the way it's supposed to be resolved. We're looking for a legitimate end to this strike, but we're not going back in the building tomorrow without that.
Do you feel betrayed at all, knowing that the other unions have agreed to, in fact, cross the picket lines?
All that we know is that George McDonald has agreed they will go back to work. George McDonald doesn't speak for anybody. He speaks for himself. George McDonald guaranteed them last Monday they were going back to work. George McDonald is the only one who is ready to go back to work. These are working people. We're counting on them supporting us. We are hoping for a massive turnout. As long as I'm talking here, we're asking for every union person in New York, every union person with every interest, to be down here in front of the post with us starting tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, now what if not crossing the picket line means the end of the post? What then?
It just never has existed. We never questioned Mr. Murdoch. Regardless of what he said, we never thought he was leaving. If he does leave, there are other groups we've spoken to today. There are people interested in owning the post, and we want to work for them.
Okay, thank you so much for that tonight. So it still appears as if Rupert Murdoch has his work cut out for him tonight. The post may be on its way back to living again, but we'll wait until tomorrow to find out if that's going to be for sure. Jason Carroll reporting live. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, thank you very much, Jason. A tragic scene outside a Long Island police station this afternoon as a man shoots and kills his female companion, then commits suicide. That man has now been identified as an off-duty New York City police officer. Police say the woman, identified as 22-year-old Marina Aquino of Flushing, Queens, was apparently trying to run inside the 3rd Precinct in Williston Park for help. But the man, 33-year-old Officer Robert Anderson from the 103rd Precinct in Queens, caught her and shot her. Anderson then pointed his gun at his own head and fired once. Police say Anderson and Aquino were romantically involved, but what spurred today's tragedy is not yet known.
The U.S. Senate went on record today calling for a full federal civil rights investigation into the death of Yankel Rosenbaum during the Crown Heights riots, an investigation that Attorney General Janet Reno has so far refused to go forward with. The vote today was unanimous, 97-0, and it was sponsored by New York Senator Alphonse D'Amato and Minority Leader Robert Dole.
Government's first responsibility is to protect its citizens. When it fails in that, it fails in everything. And here is a classic case where it has failed. It failed for 3 days to protect its citizens during the rioting. It failed to protect the rights of Yankel Rosenbaum.
If anybody is, in this case, murdered because of their religious or ethnicity beliefs, that is a civil rights violation.
Attorney General Janet Reno was ready to announce last month that she was dropping the case, but delayed that announcement due to political pressure. A spokesperson says she's still now reevaluating the case. Kaity?
With the Democratic runoff for controller over, candidate Alan Hevesy has now completed the Democratic ticket, and the candidates wasted no time in hitting the streets and campaigning together for the first time in the final stretch toward November's election. Barry Cunningham has a story.
Hi, Mark Green, Public Advocate and Mayor. Hi, how are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It took a special runoff election to decide the Democratic ticket, but with Alan Hevesy and Mark Green winning landslide nominations for controller and public advocate, respectively, Mayor Dinkins hit the ground running.
Yay!
Hi, sir. I'm Alan Hevesy. Running.
Congratulations again. The Democratic trio glad-handed subway strap hangers and pressed the flesh with beat cops along Broadway on the largely liberal and Democratic West Side. Dave, Alan, and Mark are campaigning against their Republican fusion rivals, who actually reflect more of the gorgeous mosaic. Standard bearer Rudy Giuliani, an Italian-American, Susan Alter, a Jewish woman for public advocate, and the most famous Puerto Rican politician in Nuevo York, Herman Badillo, running opposite Hevesy for controller.
So I don't think it helps Mayor Dinkins at all, particularly. I think that his contribution, as we saw in both the original primary and the runoff, is basically the votes from Queens.
And the candidates were playing racial politics again today. Giuliani telling the Daily News editorial board that the Dinkins program to set aside city contracts for minority-owned businesses is bad social policy.
I was shocked. I was shocked. I cannot see how Herman Badillo can stand with Rudolph Giuliani if that's his position.
Although the Giuliani team would seem to have more ethnic balance, the Dinkins ticket can claim it was put together by the voters, not by political consultants in back rooms. Besides which, Hevesy and Green are extremely popular with Jewish voters in suburban districts where David Dinkins needs all the help he can get. At City Hall, Barry Cunningham, Channel 11, News at 10.
We have a lot more to tell you about tonight on the News at 10. Murder at McDonald's. Chilling videotape played in a Long Island courtroom as a judge decides if it should be admissible when the alleged killers stand trial.
Last night, we showed you some horrible pollution, the problems growing in the waterways that feed into Jamaica Bay. Today, Glenn Thompson went looking for the people responsible.
It was supposed to be a day of pampering as a birthday present for a Long Island woman. Instead, her family says she was treated to a hair-raising experience at the hands of a famous and apparently very rude hairstylist. That story is coming up.
Mr. G does his own hair. He's in the Weather Center with a preview of the forecast for us, aren't you, Mr. G?
All right, that's true. And what also is true is the coldest air of the season flying in here on northwesterly winds. Bring in the tender plants. Details after this.
For those who want to escape a gridlocked world.
I promise. I could really use a vacation. That's really challenging. And puts me right in the swing of things. I could really use a vacation. That knocks my socks off and blows me away.
Discover the continent of Puerto Rico. Only a continent could offer so many great vacation experiences. Only Puerto Rico puts it all within your reach.
I just went to turn my blender on a couple days ago, clicked the thing on, and all of a sudden teeth are flying out.
Products that are made today are made in mass production, and the quality isn't as great.
Lifetime, I'm gonna love that.
You have protection on your purchases for the expected lifetime of the product.
I'm getting ready to buy a new house, and I'm gonna buy all my new appliances with my Citibank Classic card.
I get a lifetime warranty, without any additional cost.
Hey, Citibank to the rescue.
Lifetime warranty. Another new service from not just Visa, Citibank Visa.
Last night, in an exclusive report, we told you about Death Canal, a Brooklyn canal so contaminated with raw sewage that people are starting to be afraid for their health. Glenn Thompson joins us again with some answers about Mill Basin from the Department of Environmental Protection. Glenn?
That's right, Kaity. Tonight we do have some answers, but still a lot of questions about who's dumping what in Mill Basin.
Caught in the act, the Paducah sewage pumping station videotaped on camera just hours ago, dumping sludge in the waters of Brooklyn. The same sewer station many Mill Basin boaters and residents believe is responsible for poisoning their canal.
We've seen toilet paper and feces, floating on the surface of the water.
It's basically polluted. It has had a long history of various kinds of pollution spills.
The horseshoe crabs, which are a bottom animal, were floating on top of the water dead.
Mill Basin is gasping for its last breath. Millions of gallons of raw sewage being dumped into the canal along with toxins, turning the waterway, which is adjacent to Kings Plaza and million-dollar homes, into an open sewer. All of that according to boat owner Peter Guba and many others here who filed numerous complaints to city and state officials. The boater blaming the Paducah sewage pumping station, which has a long record of illegal discharges of millions of gallons of raw sewage.
When do they dump the sewage out here?
They dump the sewage out almost always on the weekends. They start on Friday nights, okay? Usually when there's a high tide because it hides the pipes.
What person was that? The Farage family, who just bought a co-op in Mill Basin, was alarmed to hear last night's report on Channel 11 News that they may be living next to a toxic time bomb.
I'm very concerned, and I'm also very angry because I don't think this should be happening. And I have a small child, and I'm concerned for her welfare and her health. And I hope that all the city agencies involved in this thing get on the ball and start doing what they have to do.
The Department of Environmental Protection has been out here testing the waters for the past several months. Despite the claims of pollution, it insists that raw sewage isn't being dumped in Mill Basin.
There is not active human waste discharge into Mill Basin. That's erroneous.
John Melia, the assistant commissioner of the DEP, blames the sewage on dozens of illegal sewer connections in the area that he says are dumping millions of gallons of untreated waste.
The green, milky substance which people see, we can't explain. So in some respects, it's a mystery. However, we know that DEP is not responsible for discharging effluent into Mill Basin.
And who is?
As I said, it appears to be the illegal sewer hookups, which are in the area, and they are numerous.
They say they can't find evidence of sewage in here.
That's because they're doing it. And everyone down here knows that it's just too much for it to be anything else except the city doing it.
The Department of Environmental Protection says it will be back out testing the water tomorrow. They also say they are trying to track down all of the illegal sewer connections in the area, and they'll be shutting them down and issuing summonses. Of course, Jack and Kaity, we still don't know if that will solve the problem.
Well, we'll keep an eye on the story.
Thank you, Glenn.
Opening arguments will begin now on Monday in the World Trade Center bombing trial. The 12-member jury was seated yesterday. Today, 6 alternates were chosen. 4 defendants are facing murder charges and other charges in connection with last February's blast that killed 6, injured 1,000 people, and shocked an entire country. Some are saying this will be the trial of the decade in New York, and security is expected to be extremely tight. Drama inside a Long Island courtroom today at a hearing for 3 men who are charged with a murder inside a McDonald's restaurant. The prosecution released some chilling pictures of the crime caught by a surveillance camera. Drew Scott reports.
For the first time anyone can remember in Suffolk County history, a judge and lawyers sat watching a video of a murder. Last November, 4 young men entered this McDonald's restaurant in central Islip for the purpose of committing a holdup. Unknown to them, all of their actions were recorded by 3 video cameras operating on a 1-second per frame time lapse.
You know, I've seen the tape on a number of occasions, and while, you know, you imagine that this is the sort of thing that happened in a number of other situations, it's still very chilling to see it unfold before your eyes and have a photographic record of it. Yeah, it's very disturbing.
A judge today ruled this tape admissible as evidence. It allegedly shows the defendants, Stephen Singh, Tyrone Rudolph, the alleged triggerman, Nashon Jackson, and Everett Chowder, who escaped from police custody 2 weeks ago, ordering food, eating at a nearby table, planning the alleged crime. Then approaching the counterman, 20-year-old Carlos Velasquez, who puts up his hands and does not resist but is shot in the back and killed at point-blank range. Defense attorneys say the tape shows 4 perpetrators but does not implicate Stephen Singh.
It shows 4 people, and it's very hazy. It's difficult to distinguish features, the facial features, and we contend that my client was not among those people who committed the robbery.
But the tape is going to be used in conjunction with fingerprint evidence, lineup identifications, and statements made by the defendants after they were caught a few days later. Velasquez's body was flown back to his native El Salvador, and his family left Long Island shortly after his funeral. All of the defendants, except Chowder, who is at large, are now awaiting trial in the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead. If convicted on the basis of the evidence and the graphic videotape, all of them face 33 1/3 years to life in prison. From Long Island, Drew Scott, Channel 11, News at 10.
When the News at 10 continues for you tonight, a new deadline looms in the standoff outside the Russian Parliament building in Moscow.
And some leftovers from World War I are sprouting up all over. In one New Jersey town, you might say the people there have become shell-shocked. Coming up.
Tomorrow and Friday are fight nights on Channel 11. Lorenzo Lamas is a renegade cop with jungle training.
The Marines called him a snake eater.
And Linda Peril is out to settle the score and expose a government conspiracy.
I gave you an order, McCauley. I will not kill those people.
Viper. It's 2 times the action, twice the vengeance. Snake Eater and Viper on fight nights. Tomorrow and Friday on Channel 11, New York's movie station.
NatWest would like to suggest a better way for homeowners to get rid of high-interest credit card debt. Call 1-800-NatWest for the NatWest Debt Cruncher Home Equity Credit Line. Get crunching today.
If you want to be in a position of power, then get behind the wheel of a 1994 Jeep Grand Cherokee V8 with a powerful 220 horsepower engine, 6,500-pound towing capacity, standard driver's side airbag, and 4-wheel anti-lock brakes. It lets you command power in any situation. The Jeep Grand Cherokee V8, the only thing more powerful.
Shopping.
9 out of 10 use it. All aboard! The genuine New Jersey Bell Yellow Pages from Bell Atlantic.
Boris Yeltsin draws another line in the sand, giving renegade lawmakers until Monday to leave the Russian parliament or face what he called serious consequences. For a second night, anti-Yeltsin demonstrators clashed with police outside the so-called White House, where hardliners have been holed up for 8 days. Inside, the former communists say they're willing to open negotiations mediated by the Russian Orthodox Church, but Boris Yeltsin says he is through talking with his enemies.
The Bergen County bomb squad's working overtime in Lyndhurst, New Jersey, disposing of hundreds of pre-World War I artillery shells buried long ago. Stephanie Shelton reports from our New Jersey bureau.
If you don't look closely, you'd think this is just any old construction site. But people here in Lyndhurst know better. Anytime you dig deep enough in the Meadowlands in Lyndhurst, you find a piece of history.
We were surprised at this point in time with the quantity that we found, which was approximately 300 shells.
That's just since Sika started digging for a new building on Monday. And these aren't just any old shells.
These are a pre-World War I military ordnance. They were destined for the French Army, and they would be shot out of a cannon.
Just in the hour that we've been here, they found 4 or 5 more shells in this pile of dirt, and they think there may be many more buried under it. The bomb squad says the 75-millimeter brass shells, which resemble this large one on display at the Lyndhurst Historical Society, are not dangerous because they're filled with a very stable explosive and not armed. And there's no mystery how they got here. If you know where to look, you can still see the chimney in the marshes about half a mile away from Sika. All that's left of the Canadian munitions factory, owned by the Russians, that made the shells for the French before the U.S. got into World War I, in the town that was then called Kingsland.
On January the 11th, 1917, on a very cold, miserable gray day, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the first explosion occurred. People in fright just took off and ran from the area.
A lot of people escaped major injury because of the creeks and everything freezing, and they were able to escape over the frozen creeks.
Miraculously, no one was killed, but shells were propelled all through the town and beyond.
The sky darkened, and the people, not realizing what had happened, thought possibly we were being attacked.
The fire and explosion was the third in a string of New Jersey munitions plant blasts that year. The British proved German sabotage, and many years later, 2 workers at the Lyndhurst factory were finally tried by the U.S. for espionage. It's a grand story with a prosaic ending. These shells, destined for a horse-drawn caisson in the war to end all wars, will be quietly destroyed, like all the others, by the Army at Fort Monmouth. In Lyndhurst, Stephanie Shelton, Channel 11 News at 10.
She thought it would be a nice birthday gift for her mom, a day of high-class treatment from one of New York's top stylists at one of Manhattan's ritziest hair salons. But the woman from Long Island says that besides getting a new look, her mother also got a mocking attitude and a big dose of snobbery and insults. Rosemary Gomez has a story.
I didn't bring her here for you to tell her to get her life together. Are you a psychiatrist? Is that why I brought her here? I wanted you to fix her hair.
Marietta Piccone has a bone to pick at Vidal Sassoon. The Long Island woman says she spent more than $300 for a day of beauty for her mother, but claims all her mother got was humiliation and grief.
You know, they said all nasty things. They made her feel, you know, we went home depressed. We came here because you guys, quote unquote, are the best. In my opinion, I wouldn't send my worst enemy here.
Marietta claims the hair-raising experience began after she and a friend saw one of the salon's top stylists on a morning talk show and thought it would be a good birthday gift for her mom. After waiting a month to get an appointment, she claims the first thing the famous stylist did was laugh when her mother sat in his chair.
He told her, what are you going to be, a housewife from Seaford all your life? Get your life together.
We tried reaching the stylist to speak to him in person, but the salon's manager says he wasn't at liberty to make any statements.
I'm the spokesperson. He's not available to speak to. I'll obviously speak to him later.
The manager claims she never got any complaints about the top stylist, who has a strong following, but admits the salon gives ongoing sensitivity classes to stylists on how to communicate with clients.
Somebody said, get your life together. Do you consider that? No, I don't consider that acceptable. And I do have some control over what is being said, but I can't be right on top of everyone at every single moment.
Marietta, who's a licensed hairstylist herself, but now runs her father's plumbing company, says her mother ended up paying because she was too embarrassed to make a scene, too embarrassed even to be on TV.
She even tipped them afterwards. I mean, you know, call it ignorant, call what you want. We're too good.
As for the stylist, the former hairdresser has some professional advice.
You should be a dog groomer, really. At least we don't have to talk.
The salon has offered to credit Marietta's account, but she says they can keep any free haircuts. She wants a personal apology for her mother from the star stylist himself. From Manhattan, I'm Rosemary Gomez for the Channel 11 News at 10.
Well, still ahead tonight on the news at 10. We'll have more from today's blistering testimony by dirty cops at the Mullen Commission hearings.
On the Health Watch tonight, a new scanning device may be able to predict heart trouble long before it might otherwise be discovered.
And tennis star Martina Navratilova is calling it quits soon. Jerry Gerard will have all the details of tonight's sports coming up.
I'll do that behind closed doors. But I'm not sad.
Channel 11, WPIX New York, a Tribune Broadcasting station.
For your serious side and your fun side, there's the sporty Mazda.
Here's another look at our top stories tonight. More tales of crooked cops at today's Mullen Commission hearings. One former cop described officers stealing drugs and guns. Another told about brutal beatings administered by the police. But Police Commissioner Ray Kelly later warned that the people testifying are corrupt officers, and people should not take what they say as gospel. The New York Post could be back on the newsstands as soon as Friday. An 11th hour agreement has apparently been reached between Rupert Murdoch and the newspaper's unions, all of which were honoring picket lines set up by the Newspaper Guild. However, the agreement apparently does not include the Guild writers and editors, and at this hour, they are not scheduled to go back. Earlier today, Murdoch said he was ready to walk away from the paper because of intolerable labor problems. And a tragic shooting outside a Long Island police precinct. A man has shot and killed his female companion, then committed suicide. The man, 33-year-old Robert Anderson, was an off-duty New York City police officer from the 103rd Precinct in Queens. He was apparently romantically involved with the woman victim, 22-year-old Marina Aquino of Flushing. Police aren't sure what spurred today's deadly incident.
At the top of our newscast, you heard the tales of corruption at today's Mullen Commission hearings as two former police officers testified about cops stealing money and drugs and brutally beating up people on the job. Now we bring you extended excerpts from that dramatic testimony.
Involved with distributing drugs on Long Island. That's a misconception by the press.
Usually after 4 to 12, which they call them 4 to 4s because you work 4 to 12, and then you go to the bar from 12 to 4 in the morning until the bar is closed. The sergeants go to the bar. I mean, the sergeants hang out with you. They're just like a regular police officer. They know everything.
The rookie officer that I was with that day intended on making a legitimate arrest. He didn't know myself and the two other officers' true intents.
So when you found the drugs and the money in the hole in the floor, what did you do?
At that point, I realized that the drugs and the money were in a crawl space underneath this video store. I exited the building and I entered through a cellar entrance from the street. I proceeded to the back of the building in this crawl space. I recovered the cash and the drugs.
And what did you do with the cash and the drugs?
At that time, I took the majority of the money, stuffed it in my pocket, and I brought the remaining bit of money and the drugs up to the rookie police officer, and I told him, here's your collar.
The Mullen Commission hearings will be adjourned tomorrow, but we'll continue with more testimony on Friday. We will, of course, have complete coverage as the hearings continue. Jack?
A lot more news straight ahead tonight. A meeting at the White House today may well affect the kinds of cars we're all driving in the years ahead.
And we'll tell you who went home winners tonight at the Country Music Awards.
Close my eyes and still be. I've been bound.
I think I'm a little lost.
The Clinton administration today announced a partnership with the big three automakers. Flanked by chief executives from Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors, President Clinton announced plans to direct millions of dollars in federal research into developing the next generation of automobiles. The goal is to produce within a decade a car that gets 80 miles to the gallon. Some of the funding and much of the necessary new technology will come from the Defense and Energy departments, as well as NASA.
First Lady Hillary Clinton returned to Capitol Hill to testify for a second day on the administration's health care reform package. Mrs. Clinton won her first Republican endorsement of the plan from Senator James Jeffords. He's a moderate from Vermont. But dealings with other Republicans weren't quite as friendly. Mrs. Clinton traded barbs with Congressman Richard Armey of Texas, an outspoken critic who had called the Clinton plan a Dr. Kevorkian prescription for the jobs of American working men and women.
While I don't share the chairman's joy at our holding hearings on a government-run health care system, I do share his intention to make the debate and the legislative process as exciting as possible.
I'm sure you will do that, Mr. Armey.
We'll do the best we can.
You and Dr. Kevorkian.
I have been told about your charm and wit, and let me say, the reports on your charm are overstated, and the reports on your wit are understated.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Clinton will testify again tomorrow before the Senate Finance Committee. Jack?
It is estimated that more than 1.5 million Americans have heart attacks every year. And while a number of studies have pinpointed high-risk groups, new state-of-the-art heart scans are giving patients a very clear picture of just how much risk they face of having serious heart trouble. Karen Hasby has the story in tonight's Health Watch.
Bob Jakowski lives a busy life. He has a high-stress job as a stockbroker and is physically active. Last week, he pulled a tendon playing tennis, but what he's really afraid of is something much more serious, a heart attack.
Because I enjoy what I do. I enjoy eating, and I enjoy playing tennis. And while I don't have a problem now, I hope that I won't have a problem in the future.
That's why Bob is here at a satellite facility of St. Francis Hospital. He's about to have a picture taken of his heart by an ultra-fast CT scanner, the only one of its kind in the metropolitan area.
Its speed, which is analogous to a fast shutter speed on a camera, allows it to take pictures of the heart, even though the heart is a moving, beating organ, without any blurring.
This is a picture of a healthy heart taken by the ultra-fast CT. The white dots in this heart are calcifications, the earliest signs of heart disease, an indication this person could be in trouble as much as 7 or 8 years down the road and better change his behavior now.
Through diet, through smoking cessation, weight loss, exercise, an individual can substantially reduce the risk of ever having a heart attack.
The screening is recommended for people who have one or more of the following risk factors: family history of heart disease, high cholesterol, smoking, high blood pressure, sedentary lifestyle, diabetes, or obesity. Bob Jakowski is awaiting the results of his scan, hoping it will mean peace of mind.
If I got an all clear, probably I'll go out and either have a martini or champagne. If I have a problem, I'm going to deal with it.
This test is not inexpensive. It costs $375, and only some insurance companies will cover it. But as the people here at St. Francis put it, what's it worth to prevent a heart attack? On the Health Watch, Karen Hasby, Channel 11 News at 10.
On Wall Street, the stock market closed mixed again. The Dow Industrials gained a fraction, but declining issues outscored gainers by a narrow margin. Trading was heavy. 279 million shares changed hands.
Coming up next, Mr. G is back with the forecast. We'll also show you how he spends his mornings.
Do we want to know? And talk about a big week. We'll have the story of a cop who became a hero on Sunday and a married man today in a surprise wedding at City Hall. Coming up.
Double trouble.
I freaked out. I called my doctor. My doctor ended up calling the paramedics.
I immediately went back in and got my gun.
Double justice.
He always goes out with different girls. And she was messing around on him, too. And I was going to kill him, but I didn't.
You were going to kill him?
Yeah.
Double Wapner.
You look like an intelligent lady. Are you chewing gum?
2 different episodes every day. The People's Court. Tomorrow morning at 10 on Channel 11.
There's plenty of toe tapping tonight in Nashville, Tennessee. Country music stars are out for the 27th Annual Country Music Association Awards. And some of the big winners: Vince Gill gets Album of the Year for I Still Believe in You. Another big winner, Alan Jackson. He won the Single of the Year award for his hit Chattahoochee. And Mary Chapin Carpenter is won for Female Vocalist of the Year.
That was Alan Jackson, not Mary Chapin Carpenter.
Yeah.
So the phone rings at my house at 8:30 this morning, and it's Harry Harrison and Mr. G. Lonely, I guess, right? Wanting to talk to someone.
Actually, it was the wrong number. Just happened to get you. We're going to keep that one. But now remember last week when you sent me on that mission to get radio great Harry Harrison's autograph? Well, the mission is accomplished, but it took a lot out of me. Here's how it all began on last Tuesday night's show. I got you a picture.
Wow, it's not autographed.
Well,
take it back and get it autographed. Bring these back tomorrow.
Get them signed and bring them back.
It was a challenge I just couldn't pass up, Kaity and Jack. Now, as you know, not only do I work with you, but I'm also the morning weather person with Harry on CBS FM. Now, this is where I usually broadcast from. My apartment, 14P, West Side.
But it's not every day that I get to travel to the Goldie Oldie studio and sit next to the great man himself. When you're the new guy at the station, you really have to do everything the anchor man says. If Jack Cafferty wants a picture of Harry Harrison, it's 5 to 8 in the morning. I'm going across town to get Harry's autograph. Something like joining a fraternity. This is hard work.
CBS FM 101, New York's oldie station.
Finally, I was there with the former WMCA good guy, the morning mayor, Harry Harrison.
There's a bright light in my eye. I think
Yes.
Mr. G brought Al, the cameraman from WPIX TV. We want to say, hi, we're on WPIX TV. Hello, Kaity and Jack and Jerry and everybody. Hi, hi.
And then a mysterious caller dials up the station, a very important caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, is this Jack Cafferty?
Yes, is this Howard Stern?
Oh, please. And you know, I thought he was such a nice guy. Nice talking to you, Jack. How do you like working with Mr. G?
Well, it's different.
Isn't it, huh? And Jack, people think I'm kidding about him.
You should get a raise, Howard.
Heidi, Jack, Jerry, I have pictures for everybody.
I can take them now, yeah.
And I certainly appreciate you mentioning us, you know. But now, I'll give you these, but you have to get me pictures of everybody, and you bring them back for us here.
What am I, like an errand boy?
Well, that's what you've been doing here at CBS FM for many years. Why should it be any different? At WPIX?
Harry knows you better than we do.
Yes, he does. By the way, here's your picture. Here's a picture. Now, this one hurts. We didn't have one for Jerry, so I have a picture of myself, Jerry.
There's a picture of G for you.
Oh, what a thrill.
That's really nice. What a nice guy. Thanks a lot.
Let's do a little weather. This is Goldie Oldie weather. It looks good. Let's do numbers in the Midtown area, and it's a very nice but a chilly night, and that's John Frassi with a shot and the temperature reading. Let's do numbers as we speak. As you look at the bridge, it is 55, humidity 64, northwesterly 3. Today's high 66. Today's low is 52 degrees. For us, you can see the big story is the big chill. From the city to Ardsley to Sparta to Stamford to Massapequa. Sparta, New Jersey will cool down to 37 degrees. Stamford 39, Massapequa 40 degrees. Feels like a train. Massapequa, Locust Valley. But the big story for us is the cold air. You can see it right across the Great Lakes. Unstable air flying in our direction. That's one. And a matter of fact, as the map goes into motion, you see up in eastern Canada just a chunk of cold air, and it's pinwheeling around. And the winds are flying in here northwesterly. And the bottom line for us is the chill is on, stays this way for the next 24 to 36 hours. New word, trough. Ever hear of the word trough?
Eat it one sometime.
It's unstable air crossing the Great Lakes, and that cold air is flying across the warm waters of the lakes. That's the reason for the clouds. But again, the bottom line is we're going to stay dry around here for the next 24 to 48 hours. The next 24 hours may have some frost. So here it comes from Canada across the Great Lakes. That's the cold, unstable air. But watch the radar, and we are announcing tonight there are no major storms in sight. From coast to coast and border to border, we are looking good. Goes like this. For the rest of tonight, scattered frost north and west of the city. However, there could be a sprinkle, 47 to 52 in town. And again, north and west of the city, we're going to be in the 30s. Looking ahead to tomorrow, temperatures tomorrow in the partly sunny skies will be breezy, 55 to 60 degrees. Frost tomorrow night. You want the 5 days? Here it comes. Goes like this. We drop Thursday in. Looks good, but chilly. Temps will be in the mid-50s for Friday and a partly sunny skies, 60 degrees, does it? Saturday and Sunday will turn cooler by Sunday, and Monday in the partly sunny skies, temperatures will be in the low 50s.
It looks good.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much, Gene. Thanks for the picture. I will cherish this.
Anything else you need?
Jerry?
For the pictures?
All right. What's coming up?
Oh, yes, that hot pennant race, the National League West, all of that coming up. Highlights from Atlanta, from San Francisco, and exhibition hockey, Jack.
Oh,
huh?
great.
Look at him break out.
That's highlights, too,
yes,
probably.
all coming up.
Come to the 16th Annual Cold Spring Fall Festival, Saturday 10 to 6 at Main Street in Cold Spring, New York. The Museum of Modern Art presents family programs Saturday 10 to 11 a.m. Enjoy an environmental festival and autumn fairs Saturday at Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Activities for everyone. This cultural calendar was brought to you by American Express.
special tribute was held on Capitol Hill last night, honoring minority students in the media business and the companies providing opportunities for them. The Media Careers for Minorities program is sponsored by 20 companies aiming to give minority students a chance to succeed. One of the key speakers was WPIX Television's own Carlos Austin, who presented an award and introduced other students participating in the program. Carlos looking good there
yes,
at the microphone.
He is. All right, Jerry, what do you have?
It's not easy to win the pennant in baseball. For some teams, it's impossible.
That's right.
I mean, but the Braves and Giants are fighting it out. And how crazy is this? The Giants played this afternoon against the Colorado Rockies, lose with a chance to go into first place. The Braves are leading tonight in the ninth 6-3, but Houston has the bases loaded with nobody out. Like I say, it's not easy. Highlights in Atlanta. Let's take a look and see what happened early. Second inning, 1-0 Astros. Berryhill with 2 on. Fastball from Drabek. This one hits the top of the wall. Could have bounced back, but no, it goes in for a home run. Third inning, it's tied at 3. Watch McGriff launch a rocket. This is a low fastball. Ooh. Bing, that is gone. I know, it's painful. That made it 4-3. Moments later, Justice comes up. This one is straight away center. He launches this one, and it is gone for his 39th of the year. In the 5th inning, first and second for the Astros, the guy tries to steal third. Pendleton falls asleep, is not covering. The throw goes to third base. And look at this, almost into left field. Pendleton saves the day. 6-3, 9th inning. This afternoon, those Rockies, you know, they can't win a game. They beat the Giants at Candlestick. First inning, Liriano, the leadoff batter off Torres. Second inning, Darrell Boston with a home run. This was shot by a midget. Third inning, 4-1 the score. Clark comes up and bangs one to left field to make it 5-1. They go on to win 5-3. Giants go to L.A. tomorrow night with 4 games to play. Now the Phillies await the winner, having clinched the East last night in Pittsburgh.
Pitches of that nature. Dave Clark, the hitter, grounder to Kruk, fair ball to the pitcher, and the Phillies have won it.
Tremendous. But these guys, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
This is unbelievable. You know, I don't think anybody ever gave us a chance out of spring training, and this has been an unbelievable experience. I mean, they better shut the city down with the fighting Phils in town. You know?
He got kissed right in the middle of a sentence that didn't bother him at all. Tuesday, the Philadelphia Phillies open the playoffs at home, and they will also have a well-rested staff, so they're going to have an advantage. In Baltimore tonight, as we turn to more sedate things, the Yankees and Orioles, Jimmy Key going for his 17th. Third inning, 1-0 Baltimore. Don Mattingly, at long last, a home run. Who can remember the last one? This is his 17th. And then Stanley, who's had a fine season, and bounces one inside the third baseline. Tartable, watch this guy's form as he runs third. Is he going to make it? Just about barely. 5th inning, Bernie Williams comes through. He is a puzzle for the Yankees. Plays great one game, stinks the next. This single knocks in a run. Hey, the guy stinks, he stinks. 8-3, Yankees win it. Key wins his 18th. At Shea Stadium, the Cardinals and the Mets scoreless in the 13th inning. Bobby Jones, one of the new Met pitchers, there with the changeup, and gets a double play with that strikeout. He's got an assortment of pitches. This is the fastball that he spots on the corners, and he has an overhand curveball as well. He went 10 innings. They're in the 13th now. Still plenty of time to go over and catch the 14th, 15th, and 16th. Now, at the Garden, exhibition hockey again. Jack, he gets excited. Rangers and Penguins. Hartman intercepts out to Lacroix. Hartman with the rebound. Rangers go ahead. And then with a 2-on-1 break here, it's Gartner getting the pass back to Nemchinov. He scores. Rangers go on to beat the Penguins 5-4. We'll have more in the weeks to come.
Great.
Last year, Martina said she might make 1993 her last. Now she says next year will be her last, and it won't be easy.
I'm sure that I'll have my moments of sadness and, you know, where I will cry, but hopefully I'll do that behind closed doors. But I'm not sad. I'm really happy about, I mean, how can I be sad leaving something that's been so great for me? I've been so damn lucky.
got to be considered one of the 3 greatest women players of all time. Now, I didn't see Suzanne Langland. Had I seen her, many of these muscles would not be moving. But they say that she was a great player, and so Martina has 1 more season.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. And finally tonight, a very special wedding at City Hall as a hero cop ties a knot with the help of a surprising new friend. It all began when Mayor Dinkins was campaigning in an Upper West Side supermarket today and met 2 cops who had stopped a holdup at that store Sunday night, where he found out that one of the hero cops, Officer Nicholas Antonelli, was getting married and promptly invited him down to City Hall to tie the knot. Not only did the mayor attend, he actually performed the ceremony as Antonelli married Madeline Conti, and he made the first toast.
Family and friends, by the authority vested in me and in accordance with the laws of the state of New York, are now pronounced that they are husband and wife. All right. To the bride and groom. All right. All right. Be happy. Be happy. Don't you love weddings where married?
The mayor not only performed the ceremony, he catered the event. He brought cookies for everybody. So I guess if you're looking for a cheap wedding package, you might want to give the mayor a call, okay?
That's right. It'll come out on the weekend.
11 News for this Wednesday. I'm Kaity Tong.
I'm Jack Cafferty. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow night at 10. Cheers is next. Good night, everybody.
Good night.